You are not your mind, you are not your mind. Fear, guilt, pride, envy, and all those feelings that bring you down are in your mind, not inside. You are not your mind, you are what is above of it, and when you feel afraid you have to look at your mind and think the following: well, this is not me, this is my mind, I am bigger than that. I overcome this fear, I overcome this guilt, I overcome this perception that I am incapable, I'm much bigger than that. You don't need to watch horror films to be terrified, you just need to let your mind be free without managing the thoughts that you have. You are capable of constructing ideas that are so disturbing that they will bleed your joy. Your pleasure in living will take away your oxygen, of your security, of your ability to contemplate the beautiful, relax, and feel happy. The mind, no one can deceive you more than your own mind. We even get used to the traps that we ourselves place in our own path. Self-sabotage, procrastination, our fears, and the insecurities that paralyze us, the anxiety that keeps us standing still without changing what needs to be changed, the lack of focus because we don't prioritize what needs to be prioritized, the constant forgetfulness because our brain is overloaded. You will be master of your destiny, you will be lord of your life. You will not let anyone ever tell you again that you are not capable. You will not let anyone ever tell you again that you are going on the wrong path, because you know that you are on the right path. Some people, they seem like they walk through life in an elegant way. They walk through life, you look and say, wow, things work out for this person, and why for me things don't work out? Wrong question, right? Why for me things don't work out? Why that my life is so difficult? Wrong question, because your brain will find a way to give you an answer. That is your mastery of life. You have to be master of your life and not prisoner of it. We are in a way a byproduct from the environment in which we live, from the home where we were raised, from the culture in which we were raised, and many of the traits of our mentality relate to this. That is why you see people who were raised within a critical environment become bitter, and critical people who were raised in positive, loving environments whose parents encourage them are people who have a knack for encouraging others and looking on the bright side of things. Now, no matter what their background has been, what matters is what the Word of God says is to be transformed in our mentality. It doesn't matter if you are doing it perfectly or imperfectly. The important thing is that you act from the beginning, act well or badly, act, make it happen. There are people who are thinking so much that they don't do anything. There are people who think less and do something better than doing nothing. So there is power who acts right and wrong. There is power who acts. If you are not a maestro, your private emotions, you are prisoner of them. And what do you mean? You crash the car and that ends your day. You get a no and it ends your week, and then you say, I'm not good at this business anyway. No, that won't work. No, that ends your week, and it has nothing to do with yours, or it shouldn't. At least your emotional state with what happens outside has nothing to do with one another. What happens outside with you is just the world giving you opportunities to grow. Each challenge is growth. You are very good in getting there, but you don't deal well with your emotions. What happens is that you go up, you hit a ceiling and come back, you go up, you hit a ceiling and come back. So that means you explain and fall. And why do you fall? Because of you. You are responsible. You fall because you can't handle success. For example, you fall because you have fears. You fall, you have a belief that you don't deserve it, and all this in the field of emotional mastery. When you are the master of your emotions and you are the master strategically of your six, can reach wherever you want. The human mind is extraordinary. It is the human mind that makes man similar to God. It is not the body of man, but it is the ability to think and decide that we have and receive from God, and this ability is in our psyche, in our mind, in our intelligence, because the gold mines can deplete, the stock market can be shaken, securities investments can crash when the ball breaks, but the human mind will always have capital to transform society, to transform you as an individual, you as a family, you as a Christian, you As a worker, you as a professional, the individual who is not manipulated, you have a gold mine. How can we progress in our life in all areas of our life? Because without a doubt, if you don't have a mind that progresses, that advances, your life as a whole will not progress. In fact, mentality makes all the difference in a person. Prepare yourself, prepare, but do you know when you will really be prepared? When you do that, because nothing teaches more than the battlefield. Nothing teaches more than getting involved with the problem. You only find the solution when you are inside the problem. Life, it is a rain of programming in which we are constantly getting wet, and it is very important to understand when we can reprogram our mind to precisely clear those programmings that are not good and capture those that are powerful. Each one of us has the power to grow the tree that is found within itself and not just be a being condemned to be small. If we dig the bonsai pond size on earth, will be eternally remembered. I think daily what I'm going to do today that's positive. What's the step I'm going to take? What's the step I'm going to climb? You have to dream, man. You have to have a dream, and daily you have to. If you ask yourself, it's time to wake up, brush your teeth. What am I going to do today to make my dream come true? It's a big dream, man. I don't dream small, I dream big, right? Say dream big, because you dream big, dream small. It's the same work. The main thing is sweat. Roll up your sleeves and every day take a step towards the realization of your dream. So today it is much more important that everything is done before is perfect, but that doesn't mean it is poorly done, right? And because the mind deceives us easily, because thought it's virtual, it's not real, you're going to be self-performing. You're going to perform because those people only breathe that at work. When they study at university, the group thinks one way, and if you think differently, the group kicks you out. The system kicks you out and you don't accept it either. People who don't think that way, then many people may think, oh my God, this is very difficult. In fact, it's not difficult. Things aren't difficult when you don't choose. You don't have a choice. What choice? You don't have it. So it's easy. It's easy to decide when you have no choice. It's difficult when you have many. You need to have a strong mind. You need to have a warrior spirit. Don't compare yourself with others. Don't compare yourself with others. We get used to it, and little by little our life is being devoured. A small bite of every time, and then a lot of times when we realize that a huge piece of our life has been devoured little by little, and when that happens, there is often no going back. That piece of our life is gone, and now we have to learn to live with it, with the scar left by his absence. We get used to it, but we shouldn't, because the consequences of getting used to it are very dangerous and very sad. And the big question then that remains for us is, why do we get used to the things that hurt us, the things that make us unhappy or prevent us from achieving the happiness that we so desire every day before going to sleep? Today I was who I could have been. Today I did what I was really supposed to do. I was honest with myself. I looked for the best part. One was honest and wanting to fight in working to overcome difficulties, to be able to take my place. This is an indication of human achievement when we realize that we are overcoming difficulties that make sense. These are sufferings that make sense because they are contributing to our growth. If you don't make an effort, if you don't understand, if you don't self-evaluate yourself, if you don't decide to change, you won't change naturally. Things don't happen by chance. Things happen as a result of a decision. It will only happen if you are willing to work. It is important that you also know that good ideas rarely come to you. It is difficult for someone to be walking down the street and to see a good idea. Generally, a good idea is the result of a lot of work, many hours of work and perspiration for a little inspiration. Having an advanced mind will not happen by chance, so it is very important that you decide whether you want to add to your mind. Changing your mindset is difficult. Resilience, the ability to reinvent yourself, the ability to overcome inner prisons, the ability to make Life an oasis, even when the world it was up to you to use the resources that are within the human being so that he cannot be afraid of his fears, face his anguish, his conflicts, and write chapters in the most difficult moments of our history. The sad news is that you will only find your success or rescue taking from within yourself. After you go through failure, you have to face your incompetence first to discover what it is like and what skills you actually have to be developed, what attitudes you have to develop, and not be a coward front, "Oh, I don't want to face it because she's very ugly, she's horrible, she's your worst side, she's the worst thing you have in you, and that's why you afraid." You're not afraid of others, you're not afraid of your competitor, you are afraid of what you will see inside you if you take the journey inside yourself. Why is it so important for you to change your mindset? You need to change your mindset because changing your mindset is never automatic if you don't make an effort, if you don't understand, if you don't self-evaluate yourself. If you don't decide to change, you won't change naturally. Things don't happen by chance. Things happen as a result of a decision. You have an advanced mind. It won't happen by chance. So wanting to be transformed into your mind thinking is hard work. That's why so few think. Thinking takes energy, but the truth is that people don't like to think. They prefer to leave it as it is to see how it goes. People prefer to be led by others who think, but you know those who think command those who don't think. So the first thing is to understand that when you start to feel those bad things that you have to do, oops, stop, wait, what's happening? Does this mean that you can control your emotion and you can also become elevated, empowered? Emotion changes, behavior changes when you are the master of your emotions. You start to be admired because few people can deal with their emotions correctly. Few people, once you understand this and realize that all those bad things that you have felt are not part of you, they are part of your mind that is corrupted and damaged. And you will simply remove the DPR. Your mind will become sane again, become clean, and you will come back with all those dreams that you had in your childhood, regardless of what your situation was. Children always dream, and when we grow up, someone tells us that what we were thinking wasn't possible. Greatness is within you, it's not outside of you, and if you are big here inside your heart, everything around you will be huge, it will be giant regardless of what you are doing. You need to find, define, determine an objective criterion that measures your performance, that measures your performance. Effort is not enough, commitment is different of performance. What's the point of trying really hard to pass the competition? I swear, if at the time of the test you turn yellow, what's the point of trying really hard to make a 17:30 presentation with a project if the person you're going to present is there at the time? You are yellow. You don't have to be ready, you have to be ready when you are asked to be ready. You train for D-Day and are ready on time. You need to learn to prepare for the right time. We human beings suffer more in imagination than in reality. Pain and difficulties are real, of course they are, but suffering is a choice. When your pain is real, choosing suffering means living as a slave to that pain, and we often suffer for things that exist almost exclusively within our mind, inside our head. This is a question of focus. Whoever focuses on the pain, on the problem, the anguish, is choosing to live in pain. And then I ask you a question: where is your focus? On feeding a pain in Lamar the difficulties, or is your focus on controlling what is within your reach so you can face your obstacles, so you can combat what hurts you, so you can achieve an existence that you are proud of? We need to understand that changing your mentality is a big investment. It is worth investing in changing your mentality. How does what people do to acquire a mind, an advanced mentality? Expose yourself to good thinkers. If you don't like reading, you need to like it. If you don't like studying, you need to like it, because there are ways and means of learning. There is a formal way, there is a more playful way. Learn in a playful way, but as you grow up the topics become more dense. You have to learn about everything. You have to know what is happening in the world you live in. Because otherwise you will be easy prey enemy. You have to have arguments and counter-arguments to each and every arrow that the enemy launches into your life, and for that to happen you have to expose yourself. You have to study, you have to listen. Today there are classes, lectures on YouTube, on the internet. Be a studious person. Expose yourself to teaching, especially to the good ones' teachings, so that you are prepared to deal with this world. Change of mentality. If you want to progress in life, there is no way. You have to go through this now. It depends on you. No one will be able to get it into your head that you have to change. It is you who has to decide to change. Find places to change your mindset, places that stimulate your creativity, your fullness, your honesty, your passion, places your faith, humility, love, generosity, worship, kindness, joy, peace. Stimulate your emotions to create good thoughts. Remember, if good ideas have a short life, correct decisions have to be made on the spot, and this combination is impossible to produce nothing. There is no point in being a thinker and never translating that into actions, but actions divorced from thoughts produce disasters. People who act motivated, driven by an advanced mind are winners. Put yourself in the place that will help you acquire an advanced mentality. And what are the tools or anti-tools that prevent us from preserving our brain and not being able to find intelligent responses in crisis situations, in stressful situations? Number 1, suffering in anticipation. Those who suffer in anticipation do the veleo ahead of time. It exhausts your brain, is an executioner of yourself. Number 2, ruminates on losses and frustrations. We never fix the past. The past is inconsert. Using one word, it is impactful. We can only change the present and the future, but it is almost unbelievable that people ferd na mud of losses, frustrations, sorrows, difficulties, and even crises and humiliations that have come about, demanding more from others and demanding more from themselves. Those who demand too much from others and demand too much from themselves are fit to work in a finance company, but not to have a beautiful love story. So it is important that our self understands that it is possible to provoke others to do their best, because many times our greatest enemy is not another human being, it is ourselves. Most of the nasal traps we insist on falling into were set by ourselves. It is self-sabotage. Change has different phases, and depending on the phase you are in what you want to change in your life, the tool for you to change is different. In other words, there are tools for change that are more suitable for each of the phases, and when you use the wrong tool, your change has a high chance of not working. And then I ask you, do you know what phase of change you are in? What do you want to change in your life today? Did you know that your emotional profile, that is, the way your emotions work, is it directly linked to your personality? After you really understand all this, you will never look at yourself in the same way again, and you will not look at other human beings in the same way. Changing our mind will change our thoughts, will change our attitudes, will change our words, our declarations of faith. This will change our habits. This will transform our character. This will liberate our destiny. Someone who is in crisis can imagine themselves bankrupt by imagination. Why would someone take their own life? Because in their imagination he already imagines that the future is worse than him living with someone who is in crisis in his marriage. He already imagines himself single, and then when he will realize that getting divorced is no longer something that scares him so much, because in his mind it has been a reality for a long time. The big issue is that when we don't shield our mind, it starts to take up space until what bothered us in the beginning no longer bothers us, and when we least notice it, it has already become a reality because one day you let a seed enter and now it has borne fruit, making our mind have less expectation in relation to what God does because his thoughts generated words, his words transformed the reality around you. About all the things you must guard your heart, because of it flow the sources of life. Guard your mind. We live in a battle all the time. When the opponent tries to suggest something to you, show him your battle has already been won. It has already happened. No matter what they say about you, no matter how many people rise up against you, no matter what your eyes see, 1,000 will fall at your side, 10,000 at your right, but you will not be hit. But we can only touch this by